The crystal chandeliers of the Royal Orchid Grand in Bangkok shimmered above me as I stood awkwardly in my plain navy dress. Discount rack, no label, definitely not couture. I adjusted my old clutch, glancing toward my sister Serena's tight-lipped scowl. "Absolutely not," she hissed, her voice as sharp as the stilettos she'd click-clacked in on. "Dad's 70th birthday is the society event of the year. You can't show up looking like you took the SkyTrain here." She waved her hand vaguely at my outfit like it was offensive, then turned back toward the ballroom. Through the open doors, Teelam's political elite and business tycoons mingled beneath gold archways and heavy velvet curtains. This wasn't a family gathering, this was a show. Serena and my brother Niran had made that clear the moment I arrived. "The invite said family only," I said evenly, adjusting the jade pendant our mother gave me before she passed. It was the only thing of real value I wore. "Family who understands optics," Niran chimed in, straightening his tuxedo. His Rolex glinted in the light, every inch of him polished and practiced. "You look like a personal assistant on probation," he added with a scoff. If only they knew. The dress I wore was tailored just enough to pass unnoticed. But it wasn't random. Just like everything I'd done over the last 5 years. Becoming CEO of Lumira Capital, acquiring rival firms in stealth moves, and most recently, becoming the majority stakeholder of Ratcheta Holdings, the conglomerate that now owned their precious family business. "Move," Serena snapped. "We have real guests arriving." Right on cue, the doors spun open and in walked Mr. Anand Vorasuk, my father's longtime partner and one of Southeast Asia's most powerful deal-makers. His eyes landed on me instantly. Surprise flickered, then a warm smile spread as he approached. "Chairwoman Kanya," he said, bowing lightly. "I was informed you'd be attending." Serena stiffened. Niran froze mid-sip, his drink trembling. I returned the bow. "Mr. Anand, always good to see you." He glanced around, puzzled. "Forgive me, but why is the chairwoman of Lumira Capital standing in the lobby?" Serena blinked. "Chairwoman?" "Yes," Anand said, genuinely confused. "Surely you know your sister acquired Lumira last year, the same Lumira that finalized the Ratcheta acquisition 3 months ago?" "That's not possible," Niran stammered. "Ratcheta's valued at what, 20? 39 billion USD, I corrected, smiling gently. 43 after next quarter's projections. Their faces drained of color. Sereni's jaw clenched like she might crack a molar. I stepped past them and into the ballroom, where the true players already knew who I was. The road here hadn't been easy. After Mom died, Dad lost himself in expansion deals, leaving Serena and Niran to run things. They treated the company like a status toy, hemorrhaging value while playing pretend moguls. I started over, quietly, worked abroad, built my own firm from scratch, reinvested, partnered strategically. I didn't need to be seen. Until now. Dad looked up as I entered. A flicker of something, pride maybe, crossed his eyes. I gave a small nod. Let them spin. Tonight they finally saw me. Not as the invisible daughter, but as what I'd become. The one holding the pen. While Serena and Niran obsessed over gala invitations and magazine features, I had kept my eyes on the long game. After Mom passed, her modest inheritance was split, though mine was smaller, thanks to my refusal to follow the family's pre-approved blueprint: law school, the family firm, and polite boardroom obedience. I declined it all. Instead, I began investing. Quietly, cautiously. My first win came when I recognized something the flashy investors missed. While they threw billions at lifestyle apps and crypto fads, I spotted growth in aging logistics firms and overlooked infrastructure ventures. Boring on the surface, but solid, recession-proof. I acquired one small company, then another, structured each deal through blind trusts, shell corporations, and nominee boards. No headlines, no LinkedIn announcements, just steady control. But you work at that boutique firm?" Serena stammered, her voice suddenly stripped of its practiced confidence. I turned, but it was Mr. Anand who answered for me. "Your sister owns that firm, Serena, and nearly 30 others. The Lumeda Rachada acquisition was just the latest. Naren's hand clamped on my arm, his luxury watch digging into my wrist. "Why didn't you tell us?" I pulled away gently. "Would you have listened? You were too busy dismissing my career as a phase." The Grand Hotel doors opened again. Another wave of executives entered. Hedge fund managers, banking CEOs, tech billionaires. They nodded to me as they passed. "Chairwoman," one greeted respectfully. Serena's expression shifted from shock to calculation, the same look she used to get before manipulating an investor into a strategic partnership. "Well then," she said quickly, "we obviously need to change the seating. You should be up front at the main table." "No need," I interrupted. "I'm fine where you placed me. In the back. By the kitchen." "But that's the service entrance," Niran said, clearly panicking. "People will talk." I smiled. Let them. Most of my best deals started in kitchens and side doors. Right on cue, 3 low-profile figures entered discreetly. The CEOs of major shipping, retail, and energy firms. Titans who preferred privacy to press. "If you'll excuse me," I said, already walking toward them. "I have real business to attend to." Behind me, I heard Mr. Anand patiently explaining my portfolio to my stunned siblings. How their poor sister now controlled enough capital to buy and sell their entire social circle twice over. Inside the ballroom, my father stood near the stage, surrounded by old friends, laughing, unaware of the drama just outside the threshold. He hadn't noticed how his children had diverged, one daughter carefully constructing an empire, the others clinging to image and legacy. My phone buzzed, a message from my executive team. "Final merger documents ready. Approved for Monday?" I stared at the screen for a moment, then glanced up at my father, a man who'd built his empire brick by brick, with no shortcuts. He didn't hand me the keys, I'd forged my own. "Approve," I typed back. Then I straightened my shoulders and walked into the ballroom. Not to be seen, but to lead. How different things might have been if Dad had paid as much attention to our values as he did to our wardrobes and school resumes. I glanced at my phone and typed, "Hold the announcement. Tonight's going to be interesting." Inside the Royal Orchid Grand's chandeliered ballroom, the celebration was at its peak. Crystal glasses clinked. Bangkok's financial elite circled my father like satellites, each jostling for a moment of his attention. From my quiet table near the service entrance, I sipped champagne and watched the evening unfold like a boardroom strategy session. Alliances forming, influence traded in laughs and compliments. Serena and Niran had recovered from their earlier shock. They were now shamelessly working the room, their panic buried under forced grins and flattery. I caught Serena name-dropping me. "Well, of course, Kanya's always had a sharp business mind," as she cozied up to the director of a sovereign wealth fund. Niran cornered an investment banker near the dessert table, tossing around my name like currency. Suddenly, they were proud siblings. Convenient. My phone buzzed again. A new message from my executive team. Wall Street Journal requesting comment on the Monday merger. Also, your father's company's Q3 financials just came in. You will write, discrepancies confirmed. I exhaled slowly. This was why I'd kept my empire under wraps for so long. 3 years of meticulous auditing, of tracing shell transfers and shadow accounts, had exposed what no one else seemed to notice. The family business, the one they all clung to as a symbol of prestige, was crumbling from within. "Mind if I join you?" Charles Vorasuk asked, settling into the seat beside me. He loosened his bow tie, glancing toward the crowd. "The vultures are especially obvious tonight." I followed his gaze. Serena laughed too loudly at something, her hand resting possessively on a fund manager's arm. Niran smiled stiffly, angling for proximity to headlines. "They still think wealth is about who you know, not what you understand," I murmured. Charles leaned in. "Have you told him yet? About Lumira? About the Racheta takeover? About the bankruptcy clock?" I shook my head. "Not yet." From across the ballroom, my father's smile faltered slightly as he laughed at something Niran said. He looked thinner, weary, His face wore the strain of someone who'd built everything on grit and was now watching it slip. "He built that company from nothing," I said softly. "Mom raised us while he worked 18-hour days. He wanted to give us everything he never had." Charles nodded. "But somewhere along the way," I continued, "he forgot that everything should have included integrity, not just image." The irony didn't escape me. The daughter they dismissed was now holding the keys to their salvation. While they planned photo ops and charity galas, I'd quietly bought out most of their industry's backbone. My phone buzzed again. "Singapore office confirms. Parker Industries acquisition complete. You now control 60% of your father's market sector." Charles raised a brow. "Time to move?" I rose, smoothing my dress, the same modest one Serena mocked hours ago. "Time to save the family business," I said, eyes on my father, "whether they want me to or not." If you felt the quiet power of building in silence and rising on your own terms, don't forget to subscribe, because Kanya's story is just beginning, and in the next chapter, the real reckoning begins. I stepped onto the stage, heels silent on the polished floor, and caught Serena's eye across the ballroom. Her eyes widened, panic rising. She made a sharp slashing motion across her throat, mouthing, "Don't you dare," still trying to keep her embarrassing sister tucked safely in the shadows. I took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice clear and unwavering, slicing through the background hum of clinking glasses and murmured conversations. "I believe it's time for the evening's special presentation." A hush fell. My father, still mid-conversation, looked up, a flicker of confusion across his face. This wasn't on the agenda he and Serena had so meticulously planned. "Most of you know Samchai Arun as a titan of Southeast Asia's finance world," I said, clicking a remote in my hand. The massive ballroom screens behind me flickered to life. "But what you may not know is how close he came to losing everything this year." The room stilled. A cough. A clink of a glass. Niran coughed hard into his drink. Serena paled visibly, hands clenched at her side. "Dad." I turned toward him. "Your CFO has been manipulating financial reports for at least 3 years. Your market share hasn't been growing, it's been shrinking rapidly." I clicked again. Charts, timelines, falsified ledgers appeared on the screens. "You've got 90 days, at most, before the fallout becomes public." Gasps echoed. My father stared, his face gone pale, every line of strain now exposed beneath the soft ballroom lights. "But tonight," I continued gently, "isn't about the problem. It's about the solution. It's about family." The next slide illuminated a vast network of corporations, my corporations, each line, each connection drawing back to one central name. Arun Consolidated, my father's legacy. "For the past 5 years," I said, "while some of us chased headlines and high society, I built something different. Quietly. Strategically. Something strong enough to protect what you spent a lifetime creating." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "Lumira," he whispered, "the Rashada merger. That was you?" I nodded. "And 32 other companies under my control." Another slide appeared, a full restructured proposal for Arun Consolidated Capital Reinfusion, executive reshuffling, and a multi-sector alignment powered by my firm. "The merger we announced Monday," I exclaimed, "isn't a hostile takeover. It's a lifeline. Lumira isn't acquiring your company, Dad. We're preserving it, rebuilding it into what it should have always been." Serena surged forward, eyes wild. "This is absurd, Dad. She's manipulating you." "Let her what?" Charles said from his seat, standing now. "Save the company you two drained dry while she rebuilt your father's legacy behind the scenes?" My father raised his hand. Silence fell instantly. He looked at me, really looked. "How?" he asked, his voice low. "How did you know? How did you build all this?" I smiled softly. "I learned from you, Dad, the real you, the man who saw value where others saw risk, who built a company from a second-hand desk and a borrowed phone line. I just did it quietly. No fanfare, no designer suits, just vision." The room was still. The screens glowed behind me, and my father's eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in years. Recognition. The screens behind me shifted one final time, revealing the heart of the plan. A new corporate framework, sleek and resilient, with Arun consolidated at the center of a reimagined financial ecosystem. A future-proof legacy. You always taught us, I said, my voice steady, that real success isn't about looking wealthy. It's about building something that endures. I paused, letting the silence settle in. Some of us, I added, glancing at Serena and Niran, took that lesson a bit more seriously than others. Niran stepped forward, his mask of entitlement beginning to slip. But we're the ones who stayed in finance, he stammered. We followed the family path. No, I said calmly, meeting his gaze. You followed the appearance of the path. I followed its purpose. I turned back to Dad. His face was no longer unreadable. His eyes shimmered, not with pride or embarrassment, but emotion. Real, human emotion. This birthday gift isn't just saving your company, I said. It's showing you that at least one of your children understood what really mattered. For a moment, no one moved. Then applause broke out. Not the polite, mechanical kind you hear at charity galas, but something honest. A wave of clapping, nodding, even a few cheers. Recognition, respect. In that moment, Arun Consolidated was no longer a sinking relic. It was reborn. Through the daughter no one had expected. Serena and Niran stood frozen, eyes wide, their status-centric world crumbling in silence. The sister they'd quietly disinvited from family events had just unveiled herself as a global power broker. I raised my champagne glass with a smile. Happy birthday, Dad. The crowd echoed me. Your company's future is secure. Your legacy is intact. And your poor daughter? I grinned. She's doing just fine. Dad made his way to the stage slowly, the applause parting before him. When he reached me, he took the mic, then looked out at the room, then back at me. I've been so blind, he said, voice cracking. So focused on appearances, on symbols. I forgot what really matters. I placed a hand on his shoulder. It's not too late, Dad, for any of us. I glanced at Serena, who now looked as if she'd aged 10 years and 10 minutes. Monday's announcement, I said to the room, isn't just business, it's personal. It's about family. About finally building together, with the right values. The ballroom shifted, the atmosphere lightened. Not just relief, but revelation. An impromptu celebration erupted. What had started as a birthday party became something more, a fresh start. Serena and Niran remained in the shadows, their faces stiff, jaws clenched. Their kingdom of appearances had collapsed under the weight of quiet substance. The sister they had judged by her clothes was now the one holding their future in her hands. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving how wrong they were. It's showing them how right they could have been if only they'd looked deeper. And as I stood there, in my modest dress, surrounded by some of the most powerful figures in Asia, I realized something simple, yet profound. True wealth isn't what you wear to the party. It's what you build while everyone else is too busy being seen. If you've ever been underestimated, judged by your appearance, or quietly overlooked by the very people who should know your worth, then you understand my story. I didn't build my empire to prove them wrong. I built it to prove to myself that I could. If you felt something in this journey, I invite you to subscribe and leave a comment, share your thoughts, your own story, or even a message for me. I read them because every voice deserves to be heard, even the quiet ones building something extraordinary in the background. And here's my advice. Don't chase validation. Chase vision.